Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Leuchtmasse podcast. Now I'm speaking English and I have to say the German name of the podcast, which is very, very weird. I have Mahmood with me.
Hi, Ralf. How's it going?
I'm doing very well. So now I can just put my headphones away so we can just have a normal conversation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me to your German podcast. I've been on your English one and I've heard a lot, and I actually watched one of your videos on the German podcast.
All right.
I couldn't understand much, but I could tell that it's very popular.
So once on YouTube, for example, once I'm getting a couple of more subscribers or more videos or whatever it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
At some stage, they will offer me, apparently, this AI translation stuff. And then there is a voice that probably doesn't sound like me at all, narrating more or less a translated version of my podcast. I've seen it with some other German-speaking podcasts or YouTubers in the watch space. It seems to work okay-ish. And then there's another thing that you actually can, it's amazing of what technology can do these days, right? So you can purchase a package of translating hours or voice over hours, and they synthesize your voice. So that means it's your voice speaking a different language.
This is what I've seen before. I've seen some demos of people, for example, world leaders, where they are saying the same thing in so many different languages. And they even change how your lips would sync with the words. So
yes, if they do the video as well, that's possible.
It's insane. The technology is amazing.
It is. Yeah. It is really. It is also scary because people will believe these things, and you might never said that. Yeah. But I think it's cool for content creators to actually reach different audiences in different languages because it makes it much easier than just redoing everything or voice over your own video if you have a video, of course.
But I also think that there is a case for, having a podcast about watches in German, because Germany has a very rich watchmaking history, first of all, which has been reintroduced. Mm-hmm. And when I was invited by the AP boutique in Hamburg a few times, I could realize how passionate people are about watches, Germans.
Yes.
Customers, they're having vintage pieces and they're having things that they really care about the history and they take it very seriously. And I think at least the German customers that I've met, or the watch collectors, they don't care at all about hype. They care about the story much more, which is something I really appreciate.
Yeah, thank you very much for saying that about the Germans. I have to
disagree,
pop the bubble a bit, because I think you might have met the people who are in that sphere, in that area like this. There is, of course, a lot of people that are hunting the hype, that only want the cool pieces that everybody wants as well. But you probably wouldn't necessarily meet them in these kind of environments. These are not people who go to watch meetups or, just like to talk watches.
Yes.
Most of the hype people are people who just want to flex, right? And they just want to have these pieces in it. Run around with them. But in general, I think you're right. Germans are serious about things. So I think you can get into very detailed discussions about specific things, about where a date window should be, or if there should be a date window at all.
Yes.
And that could become very passionate with Germans, because
we know Hungarians also care about this.
Right. So tell me a bit about yourself. So you are in Dubai for how many years?
About 18 years now. So I've been here since 2008. So, 17 years. As many other people would have thought, I'm going to be here for a couple of years and I'm going to return back to my home country, which is Egypt. Mm-hmm. That was the original plan. Then, of course, you never really leave the place. And then I got married to a Czech as well. So that means that most probably I'll never be ending in Egypt. It's either going to be Dubai or probably the Czech Republic in the future. But I'm an engineer by background, and I do, that's the boring part of my job really, but I do I'm a delay analyst, so I care a lot about time and what went wrong with construction projects. And maybe this is part of why I care about watches as well, that, that I always deal with time on a daily basis, and this is part of what I do, part of my job. But yeah, that's who I am.
Wonderful. So, and whatever you do, we don't want to go into details of who you work for, whatever. You seem to be very successful in what you do because you have a very, very nice collection of watches. And right?
You know.
So it's good. So I see something very nice on your wrist. We are basically twinning. So I have a watch with a blue dial.
Yeah.
This is also blue, right? Or,
it is, yes.
Yes, blue.
Yeah.
So you have, this is one of your latest acquisitions?
Yes. I picked this up in December from Germany.
Right.
And it's a very, it's a beautiful watch. And I was hoping that I would get it for my 40th birthday. So my 40th birthday is later down the year. It's in October this year.
October borns are the best.
Exactly.
Obviously.
That's what I hear. And I would like to confirm this rule. But so it's a Royal Oak Jumbo, just for the listener to know what we're talking about. But to me, this is like a milestone piece because there are some pieces that you acquire because you get the chance or because they're hyped or whatever. But to me, there are some milestone pieces that when you get them, you really feel an emotional connection to them as well. And I remember the day I picked this up, you really feel like to pick this up from the boutique at a certain, age and a certain career milestone. It feels a lot. Like it feels like you don't have to go to the gray market. You don't have to pay extra. They know that you've earned this piece in order to add it to your collection, which is great.
Yeah, I know it's I know in this it sounds a bit contrived maybe or made up, and you think like, oh, this is like achievement or something. But this is something that we do to ourselves. It's a gift to yourself. It's something that you think, I have earned this. I mean, obviously you have a double degree, you have 2 university degrees, I think, right? 3.
Three.
I feel so dumb now. Anyway, so 3 university degrees. So you have worked hard during your life to be where you are, and obviously, if you can afford it and you have worked hard in order to do that, then it's absolutely okay. And it's just a treat to yourself, and it's just to recognize to yourself as well what you have achieved. I think, especially in a country like Dubai or city like Dubai, we see always people who are way more successful and rich than you are. Right? I don't know about the success or intelligence, but it's about the money.
It's all about relativity, really, because you said in the beginning that I have a really nice collection, which is something I'm convinced with as well. I really love my collection.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you go into these watch meetups and you see that maybe one guy has a watch that is worth more than your whole collection, then you get humbled. So this is Dubai.
Yeah, my Emirati friend recently said he wanted to try to convince the AP boutique to give him a nice jumbo, right?
Okay.
Next.
Yes.
Something like that. I don't know exactly what it was. And he's thought, okay, now I have bought 3 APs in this boutique, so I'm a big kahuna, right? I can walk in and tell him like, come on, give me this piece, right? So he walked in and he saw there was another Emirati sitting there who was double wristing. I think it was a double tourbillon AP and some, I don't know, some other super obscure multi-million-dollar piece, right, on his wrist. And he just thought, damn, right? You think
you're a big spender.
You're a big spender. And then you see this guy sitting there having outspent you already just with the pieces he has on his wrist, like 50 times, right? And then he talked to this person and he has like 60 APs in his collection. So this is insane, right? I mean, nobody needs 60 APs, right? So that's weird.
Apparently some people do.
But what I'm saying is, yes, it's good to, just to look back at yourself and say like, okay, look at yourself 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Would I have ever thought that I'm in this situation in 5 years, in 10 years?
Not a chance.
Exactly. You drive nice cars. You have nice watches, you have a very good life, you have a great job. I mean, obviously it's not an easy job, but it's, that's the price of success is often that there's a lot of stress and responsibilities in your job. But hey, I mean, it enabled you to have a very, very nice life. And that is something that we sometimes have to remind ourselves. When we were kids, would have thought, if I once in my life, drive, a sports car or something, I would have made it, right? Do you think that this is all you can dream of?
The pinnacle.
And then you're in the situation and you think, that's nice. But, Porsche is nice, but, these McLarens are really cool.
Right? You know what's funny as well? I think I heard once that people in New York know who are the tourists because tourists always look up at the buildings.
Right.
Locals never look up. They don't care. I also realize who are the tourists here in Dubai because they take a picture of my car. But in reality, if you're a local, you would not even look twice.
It's like a Honda, right? You think,
exactly.
Like, oh, come on, it's normal. I know. It feels so weird. Yeah. But whenever I go home, I mean, again, the city is a bit crazy in all regards, right? And so it just makes me feel then much more grounded and feeling like, oh my God, I'm really like hashtag blessed. Hashtag that did you think like, okay, that's I'm really happy. Yeah. And I think sometimes we always have to do this sometimes every now and then, just to look at when you think about the next purchase and the next watch, just look at what you have and think, do I really need this watch? Is this really like something that obviously you want it, but do I need it, right? Will it make me happier? And sometimes I decided not to stretch myself or sell certain things in my collection, because now I'm thinking, would I have been, for example, I'm wearing my overseas at the moment, the new version blue dial. I had the silver overseas before with the silver dial. Was I happy with it? Totally. I love that watch. So now I sold this watch when I got the offer from a friend to give it to me for retail. And this is still maybe a tiny premium at the moment, but it has...
The blue one is still selling with a premium?
Tiny bit.
Okay.
If you're lucky, right? Because, it's not... Vacheron was the last to rise and is the first to fall, I think. So it's from the Trinity. On the other hand, 90% of all Pateks are selling below retail as well. So
it's only currently really Rolex and AP.
Yeah. Patek, Aquanauts and Nautiluses and Cubitus, right? Anyway, we come to this in a second because you have a new Patek that I haven't seen before.
Yes.
That I have to take a look at.
So I brought it with me. So this is a weekly calendar, the Calatrava, and I got it in February after so many attempts. And this is why, even though I just bought the Jumbo in December, I had to, to try really hard to come up with the money in February for the weekly calendar, because it wasn't the first time that Patek called me for this watch. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was thinking, this is the most beautiful watch ever. It really captured my heart, but it was really early in my collection days as well. I remember at the time, maybe I had 2 very basic entry-level IWCs and 1 Tag Heuer at the time.
Right.
So for me, when I looked at this, I was mind blown. I still love the watch, obviously. They called me on maybe 2 times in the last 5 years for it. But the problem is, each time I never really had the money to go and purchase this. It wasn't the right time. And as you know, over here in Dubai, it's very random. And you have to come back to them within a day or 2. You cannot take any longer to just, come up with the money later on.
Yeah.
So they might call you tomorrow, and they might call you next year, or they might call you in 6 months. And I think for me, to have that kind of money always on the side, just waiting for me to make that purchase, especially when there are other opportunities around as well, is just not feasible.
And it's not, from just a financial mindset, it's not good.
Yes.
If you have that kind of money, 20,000, 30,000 euros for the listeners, just sitting around, it should work for you, right? You should have that somewhere invested.
Buy gold, do something, especially if there is no even guarantee that they're going to call you. So they would tell you, just put your name on the list. We may call you, may not call you. And if we call you, it could be today or it could be in 3 years. Yeah, I think in some of the boutiques, then they might just consider, because they have so many people with so much money in this area. So that's when it's good if you are a customer of an ID in a normal city where you have multiple IDs maybe, or where it's not so crazy, because here it's really crazy, because you have all of the competition of people who have
millions on their bank account,
Yes.
right? Just lying around, so they can just go and buy the things that they
Yes.
want. But I see it the same. I mean, I had this with the local AP dealer here, where they basically told me, we can get you that watch that you want. And of course, I only wanted one that I could get, because they already told me that Royal Oak is, forget about it. The first watch you buy with us cannot be a Royal Oak, obviously.
Of course,
right?
yes.
It can be
Has
a
to be
Royal Oak
has to be a
offshore.
code.
Either code 1159 or a Royal Oak offshore diver, maybe even a Royal Oak offshore chrono. You could maybe get that as well. But I said, no, diver is fine. So I wanted the diver, and then let's ask them when could that happen? And they said about a year. I said, okay, fine. A year is good. So I had the money, but I had the money in watches, right? So I knew exactly when this comes in, these two watches I will sell for it, and that's okay. Right? I can easily finance that. But I didn't have the money around, the cash lying around. 2 weeks later, this guy calls me and said, hey, I have your watch. And I said, okay, great. Just give me a couple of days. I need to see how quickly I can, just get the money, because that was not planned. You told me a year. And he said, yeah, okay. So next day, so are you going to pick that up? He said, I can't tell you yet. I need to figure out how to, offload 2 watches. He said, okay, you need to pick it up this weekend. And it was on Friday, right? You need to pick it up this weekend. Otherwise, it goes to somebody else. And I said, okay, then give it to somebody else. I mean, I don't want to do a distress sell of my pieces, because I get a bad price for it. And I just didn't want to rush it like that, right? It didn't feel right to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously that moment passed, and since then the AP boutique has never called me again. Obviously now in their eyes, I am not a customer they can just call and then
you're not the profile they're looking for. That's the thing. But I think the watch market.
So it's like me.
I would say locally. I'm not saying internationally. I mean locally, maybe neither am I. By the way, I never bought a watch from here, from Dubai, from AP, because I was on the waiting list forever. But I'm lucky enough, as I said, that I'm married to a European citizen, so I can also go to Europe and buy watches from there, which is much easier. But I mean, over here, talking about spending profiles, for example, with the group that has the distribution of Rolex, Siddiqui, so Rolex, Patek, a bit of AP still, some other brands. I spent about, I think, $230,000 with them, and they're telling me, "Oh, we've got events for the big spenders." I'm obviously not included in these big spenders, which I understand, but at the same time, you can't even put your name forward for a Rolex GMT. I'm not talking about the Pepsi, I'm talking for the Batman, for example. Yeah. Because the lists are closed or whatever. So if you think if that was in Europe and you spend that much money, you know that at least you can get one of the least desirable pieces. Like,
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a little bit difficult here. I wouldn't take anything personally, that's for sure.
No, I know. It just makes you that this is the reality check, right? In this city. Sorry, we started talking about your Patek. Can I have a look?
Sure.
That's a very nice case that you have. What is this case?
Thank you. Well, I got this one when I picked up a Jaeger LeCoultre watch a few years back, and as a gift, they gave me the 3 watch roll that I have here. Oh, it has really nice leather.
Yeah, it's super soft. It's a leather case that is square. It's not a watch roll per se. It's a
watch rectangle.
Yes, watch rectangle. And it's super subtle leather, and it has this diagonal, how do you call that? A zipper, which is really cool. Let me just be careful that I don't drop anything. I think this watch that you have here, that is very nice. The weekly calendar, and I have to.
You can try it on. It sits really well on the wrist.
And then you brought the other watch. Mahmood also has an overseas, the same that I have, just the previous version, which is basically identical to the normal person.
Only thicker. And
I think 0.2 of a millimeter thicker, and has a slightly different bracelet. But yeah, this is lovely. This is one of my favorite Pateks, the weekly calendar. The other one is the Calatrava that, the 6006G, I think, that I like, which is the odd one that nobody really liked, but I do. I'm quirky. I love quirky watches.
You know what I like about this watch as well? Because Patek doesn't do a lot of stainless steel watches, first of all.
Oh, this is stainless steel. I just forgot about that, yeah.
Which is great. The second thing is that I don't understand why it's really underappreciated, but you would see that there is plenty of them on Chrono 24, and obviously a lot of them are selling under retail as well. But it's the only watch that has 5 hands stacked one above the other, which is they don't do. They usually spread out the subdials so you don't have all these hands stacked up above each other. And in sunlight, you see that all these hands, they're casting shadows on the dial.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting piece that they were able to do that in such a small case size as well.
Do me a favor and look at with the loop now at the Thursday and Wednesday. The one thing that I like about this watch,
yes,
besides the tall tower of watches that of hands that you said, is that's hand painted dial.
Yes,
you can actually see that this is not stamped. This is not, or if it is stamped, then the stamp is handmade. I mean, this is not done by
there are small
machine. It is so. Yeah. It is. You can also see the A on the top day. I think it's Monday, where the A has a small little, the horizontal bar, or the A has a small piece on the side. So you see, this is handcrafted, right? So that's what I think. That's Patek for me.
Yes,
lots of handwork.
Everything is very personal.
It's,
it's
and unique. This is why I think this is so much nicer than some of the rather pedestrian Nautiluses, which are not as unique and not as quirky. Yeah, I wouldn't say quirky. This is just the essence for me of Patek. It's that this takes time to make, and it is not a fast watch, let's say it this way. This has been made very deliberately. And of course, you see on the, I'm just looping the back of the movement itself. And there, of course, all the nicer watch brands have, started to save a bit of money, do a bit less hand finishing on the anglage. They still do hand finishing, but they let machines do the first one, and then they just give it a small polish in the end and all of this stuff. It's what they do, right? But it's still nice to see that Patek doing a good job there.
But it's not what Germans do, though. When we look at A. Lange & Söhne.
Oh no, that's true. Yeah,
it's.
But they do also make. I mean, Patek needs to make 70,000 watches a year, 60 to 70. That's a lot of watches.
Yes,
right. I mean, they have obviously a very good, big area of big amount of watchmakers doing this, but it's okay. I don't want to do it too tight or too.
Sorry,
it's not too tight. Is it too loose?
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I don't want it to just. I like that this has at least here cover your watch back watch square roll. Has here at least a cover for the zipper, because that's my fear always with zippers. Also when I wear my watch and I have my backpack and it has these big metal zippers, when I get in and out of my backpack and I think, will I scratch my watch? And sometimes you do.
I can ask Gigi Lecoultre for you if they do sell these watch rolls, square rolls.
And I think the next thing, make a zipper that's not metal. I know it looks really cool because it's now gold with a black leather. It looks really cool for the zipper. But if you would make this plastic, it would at least not have me fear that I scratch my watch when I get in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that's pretty cool. So you got this as from Patek directly here, or did you buy it on the aftermarket?
From here, and I never bought a watch from the aftermarket. I did sell some of my watches before, but I always try to wait it out and buy things, from the boutique because of the experience, etc., which sometimes even leads me to very stupid decisions, which I can talk about as well, because some of these watches are much cheaper elsewhere, but it's my way of, first of all, being the first owner of certain things. And I know it's all psychological, but at the same time, if I'm really passionate about certain brands and I admire what they do, I don't mind paying a bit extra as some sort of support of what they do.
You touch a very interesting topic, because I recently had found a very nice watch for my wife. Can't even remember what it was. I think it was a overseas, or it was something. I can't put my hand, or it was an Audemars Piguet. I think it was an Audemars Piguet, a lady's watch. So it was 33 millimeters, or for 35, 36. It was actually a very, very cool watch, I thought, for my wife. It's obviously a bit of a vintage watch, so it's a few years older. And I thought that looks great, but it has a case engraving in the back. And it had written on it, for a real 007. So obviously whoever gave it to somebody who was, I guess, working in intelligence.
MI6.
I have no idea. But I thought that engraving just kept me from buying this watch, because I thought this watch has too many memories of somebody else that, if it's just a normal watch and you give it a service and a polish, it is like a new watch. But to give it as a present to somebody, and it was already a present for somebody else, it just feels not right. I don't know what it was, but it just didn't feel good for me.
I get your point. I think there is two ways of looking at it. If you're going to buy the watch because of its historical significance, like, for example, a watch that was used in World War or Civil War or whatever, or someone famous wore it, and you just want to keep it in a museum or a collection somewhere, I'm okay with buying that kind of watch. But if it's got that engraving and then you're going to wear it yourself, I'm with you. I don't think I'll be happy to do it.
Yeah. And then you also don't want to destroy that thing, right? I mean, obviously you don't know who the previous owner was. This is from a dealer, so you have no idea. But you feel like, okay, now putting a new case back on it or something, or you fill it up, and then polish it, and then it's gone. I didn't feel right. I just felt like, no, it's not for me. Maybe somebody else will buy that watch, but no. Yeah. So I understand sometimes it's nice to be the first owner, right? So I have two watches that I bought I'm not the first owner, but I'm within 2 weeks of being the first owner. So that's because I don't get these watches, right? So because I'm not getting this profile.
My philosophy is always like try to get things early and as the first owner. So, at the beginning when before they increase the prices significantly, because every year they have to add up whatever, but then keep it as long as possible. So even with my cards, it's the same thing. I've got, one card that now I own it for 9-10 years.
Yeah.
Still operates great, still looks new, but I take really good care of it. And this is, my philosophy.
Yeah. And that's especially with expensive cars.
Yeah.
We've been there as well, especially with the brand that you drive.
Yeah.
Do this. Drive the same.
Which you drive as well.
Yeah. So that's when you really appreciate it. And also it's just like there's nothing that makes me want something different at the moment, right? With the reasonable amount of money, because you have so much fun.
Yes.
With the car as it is. So there's no need to go anywhere else. But you're right. Taking care of things is always what I always try to do a lot. So especially if it also comes with watches. But
it makes it also much easier when you want to sell some of the watches. So for example, I sold recently a Speedmaster to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And when he got it, there was not literally a single scratch on the watch, even though I owned it for about 6 years. And I got him, even the bracelet was never used because I put it on a NATO. So it's almost as if he's got, the full set, almost new. It's almost like new old stock. He was quite happy. He couldn't even believe the state that it was in.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I recently sold a watch as well to a dealer, and we agreed on a price. And then he took the watch in and he said, "Oh my God, this is in excellent condition. This is like, wow, this is so much more than I expected." And I said, "Okay, so pay me more."
No, I shouldn't have.
Of course, he laughed.
Of course.
So no. So okay, it's fine. We agreed on a price, and I knew the condition of the watch, and I was fine with the price, so it's okay, right?
Yes.
But yeah, he was very happy about that. So anyhow, these are the stories. So, talking quickly about watches and wonders.
Yes.
Have you seen releases?
I've seen plenty of releases, and I was quite surprised by the amount of new releases that were issued this year, because last year was relatively quiet, and I wasn't too impressed. It was just a dash of new colors, etc. But this year, it seems like everyone went all in, and I'm surprised. Maybe it's because of I wouldn't call it watch crisis, but the market downturn, and people want to grab your attention as much as they can. They're actually trying hard this year to get you back. Or is it because last year was simply a quiet year for them?
I think it's two things. It's the when you saw the boom during the COVID years, 2019, 2020, maybe also 2021. A lot of watches take 3 to 5 years to bring to market. So if it's just a color dial change or whatever, then it's not that much time. But if it's a real new model or something, it takes time.
Yes.
You know, the design phase, the tooling, the getting everything together, getting all these suppliers in a row, that takes time. Also, product planning, right? You see IWC, it's one of my examples now. That's why I put out here the GP Laureato. Because if you look at the pictures of the new IWC Engineer full ceramic,
Yes.
it looks very, very similar to this. And
so the ceramic case of the Laureato is honestly excellent. I really like the finishing and how they've done the ceramic, because not everyone can do it this good, and can give Zenith as one of these examples that I wasn't too impressed with. I think I was a bit disappointed with the IWC release, even though they're one of my favorite brands, because of one reason. I thought that they would release a ceratanium case rather than a ceramic case.
Okay. But why ceratanium? Because I heard a couple of people with ceratanium, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
What were the feedbacks that you...
I mean, look, you always hear this from people saying, but I've seen somewhere a picture on the internet that it broke.
I've got one. I've got a ceratanium case. Yeah. And I've had a few near accidents, but nothing happened. Like, for example, my son ran... So my son was running towards me, and then he was holding a rock in his hand, and then he just scraped the watch, and then I almost had a heart attack. I looked at the watch, and it was okay.
Okay. But that's the cool thing about ceramic. It's hard to find something that scratches it.
Yes.
It can shatter. Obviously, if you drop it on a marble floor, it can happen. But even that is rare. So I had 2 ceramic watches. This Laureato that you have in your hand, and of course the Blancpain 50 Fathoms bathyscarf in full ceramic, and never had any issues with it. But in this case, why I'm showing it to you is because the IWC has a similar case. It has a similar butterfly clasp. It has even the same smoked glass on the back, because it's a black ceramic as well. So it just really looks like a copy. It has a hobnail dial with a small, sort of pattern on it. It has these stick indices, and it has this similar hands. So, and also I think both have black date wheel. I'm not so sure about the IWC, but I think it does. Anyhow, it looks very, very similar, and it has a similar price. Now, I found recently the company that actually made the case and the bracelet, which is not Girard-Perregaux. It's a Swiss company called Dexel.
Okay.
And Dexel, they make these kind of cases for high-end brands. On their website, you can see they make them for Hublot, HYT. No, sorry, not HYT. Was it HYT? It was HYT. Montblanc, Girard-Perregaux. So that led me to think, if it's GP, then it might also be Ulysse Nardin, because obviously they are owned by the same company.
Yeah.
If they make cases for Hublot, then it might also be Tag Heuer or Zenith, because they're all owned by LVMH. You know, suppliers usually share sometimes. If it is Montblanc, then it might also be other brands in the Richemont group, like IWC. Because that would make sense, because the quality of that ceramic case, I thought from the pictures, it looked so similar, right? And this is a supplier, obviously, that is focused on these high-end brands. I mean, these are the ones that are available to see on the website, that obviously are okay with having their products shown on the website of a supplier. Now, there might be others like AP with their full ceramic cases that also get their cases from there. Who knows?
Yes.
I don't know.
Well,
it could be. Would make sense.
I did visit the IWC manufacture, and it was honestly one of the most impressive factories or, watch manufacturers I've visited, because it's very high end and high tech. They've got the whole life cycle of the watch. So my wife and I visited together the city of Schaffhausen.
Yeah.
Then you can see everything from the materials that they've got. They've got all the machines, it's many floors up and down. The tour took us about 5 hours to complete. It's that massive. And you can see every stage of the watch development from, the very beginning of the case and how they cut it and how they finish it. And, even the machines, for example, when they make the ceratanium, I hear that there is a very high failure rate and it's very difficult to manufacture as well.
Yeah.
So that's why it adds up to the cost of the watch.
Yeah, I heard this as well. I mean, especially with ceramic, because ceramic is being baked, right? So that means and it shrinks during this phase. So that means the tolerances are hard to make, because you have to make it bigger and then it shrinks and then it needs to fit after the firing of the ceramic. So, and that makes it complicated. That's why sometimes these watches have like internal barrels as well to put the movement in, because then you have a bit of leeway,
tolerances,
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is high, and this company that runs Lexel also owns Formex. I don't know if you heard about this watch brand. It's a sort of a micro-ish brand.
Okay.
And they basically make everything from dials. They have a company called Chronote or something, or not Chronote, but Caranote or something. They make it their own dials. It's all part of the family business, right? It's a brother and the uncle and whoever. And they are all in this business, employ whatever, a few hundred people. And they make cases, bracelets, clasps. And they're specialized in micro adjust clasps. So I don't want to know how many companies are actually buying their clasps with these micro adjust and stuff on it. So it's pretty impressive. I mean, in your overseas, you have a bracelet that is made in France.
Okay.
That's what they declare on their stuff, that the watch is made in Switzerland, but the bracelet is made in France. The overseas bracelet that we like so much. So there is obviously a manufacturer who can do that.
Well, I think they may use someone who maybe Cartier also uses, since, they're all under Richemont.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to bracelets, generally, the steel bracelets, I think the Richemont group has an incredible amount of good movements. I mean, the bracelets from IWC with the micro adjust in the pusher, you see the same in the Arlang & Söhne. You see the same in... or maybe not the same, but you see different ones in Cartier, where you have also very cool quick exchange mechanisms, toolless adjustment of the entire bracelet. I think IWC started that a long time ago with the pins that you can just push and then move, and Cartier does the same. And it's just that's what we want, right? As watch nerds.
This is what we want, but I also understand that there are some people who wants the watch being in-house from start to finish. And this is something that lots of people take a lot of pride in as well. I'm not I don't care that much about having everything in-house. Like, one good example is IWC, since you've mentioned, and the engineer as well. That everyone was complaining that the movement inside was not in-house, but it was, based on another movement. For me, the watch is still manufactured by IWC and finished by IWC. So even though they don't just take it and drop it in the watch, they still do it in-house. They still manufacture it, I mean.
Yeah.
Plus, it's got really high specs. One of the things also, that's a little bit of a segue, but my next watch, which is I'm working towards, is a Vacheron Constantin watch, Commen de Vache, which is, I love the case. It looks super impressive. And it's got one of the best chronographs ever, which is a Lemania-based chronograph, which you can find in the Speedmaster, as well as Patek Philippe, and as well as Vacheron Constantin. So even though it's not an in-house movement, you see the level of finishes between what has been done by Vacheron, what has been done by Omega.
Yeah.
And it's so clear. I mean, the differences in finishing, the amount of effort and put inside in there. And no one says to Patek, oh, you're not using an in-house caliber. They might say to Vacheron, but not Patek, that's for sure.
I think I just made an episode. Of course, it's not yet live, and also it's in German, so you wouldn't know. But I just made this about the Swiss watch industry and the beginnings of the Swiss watch industry, and explained exactly this on the example of Dexel here, to say they are specialized companies, and these are sometimes family businesses. And it was a cottage industry in the beginning, right? The distributed labor of farmers having nothing to do in the winter, and would make wheels for watches. Other ones would paint dials. Other ones would make the hands, and so on. So that was a very distributed production. And they did this, and the expertise of the watch brands was actually to assemble the watch, to plan, design, and put the pieces together. That were as many watchmaker, basically, knowledge needed, as well as entrepreneurial or business acumen that you needed, because you needed to make sure that everything you buy and you put together, and then you can sell it for a markup that it makes all sense. But it's a bit like a car manufacturer now. You don't make your own brakes, your own tires, your own seats, your own entertainment system, your own ABS system, whatever it might be, even your cable tree, whatever you put in your car. A lot of things you buy from outside.
Exactly.
Your expertise as a car manufacturer is to make sure they can actually assemble it.
Yes,
and it works.
And ask for the specification exactly that you want for your car. So it's not just getting any random spec for your car and fit it in, but plan ahead, as you said, and get the right design for your car or for your watch.
Exactly. So I think I mellowed a bit on my view of does it have to be in-house? Because in-house, if it comes to a small brand that makes a small amount of watches, how good could it possibly be, that movement, right? If you have a new one, it is probably not as tested as a big brand could do. So is it always better? Not necessarily, but at a certain price point, you want at least a specific care. And I think this is why we want a bit more in-house. We want to know that this has been either enhanced, decorated, treated, assembled.
But you will never make people happy, Ralf, because another example is the watch I'm wearing right now with the jumbo.
Yes.
So you used to have the Gégé Le Coultre movement from the 70s for the longest time. And every time you had to adjust a date, you had to go back before 12 o'clock and then there was no quick adjustment for the date. Then when they finally moved an in-house movement, same thickness and quick set date, people were saying, oh, but we want the historical movement that was in there. It's amazing. This is the spirit of it's not the spirit. It's
rubbish.
People were just, and it's not in-house and it's old.
No. Yeah. My wife has an 1803 Rolex date, non-quick adjust, right? So this morning she said, I'm going to wear the day date. Can you set it for me? And I was like, oh no.
I know. This is the same thing with my weekly calendar. If I don't wear it for a week, then I have to use the pushers. I have to set 5 different things, which take a lot of time, obviously.
Yeah. And I think that's what I do with my annual calendar here. That's the easy part, is that you don't have pushers. You have the little hidden ones in the blanc point, so you can just use it with your fingers or with a toothpick without needing to put the pushers, because it's a bit easier to do. But I still just manually put it forward. So every weekend or so, if I didn't wear it for a week, I just go through it and just wind it and let it run for a couple of days, so that it's for the oils and whatever, it's
keep them fresh.
Philippe Dufour said himself, if you store a watch and let it lie around, just let it be dead. But once a month, give it a full wind and let it run. That's basically his recommendation. So
I believe him.
Yeah, exactly.
You must know what he's talking about.
I think so. Anyhow, so what else did you think? What did you think of the Rolex releases? Just
I know that everyone is always obviously thinking about Rolex.
I know.
After I give you my answer, I would love to hear also what are your favorite releases from Watches and Wonders to begin with, like overall, generally. Rolex is, as many snobby collectors would say, the safe brand. They don't do anything extreme. I think I was impressed by the movement that they released with the land dweller, which is, obviously impressive. Plus they've got an open case back finally, which they usually don't do.
Yeah.
But again, Rolex, I think they're a bit too predictable, and the design of the case of the land dweller didn't impress me much because it felt like a mashup of very different things. Other watches like the Datejust, including the Explorer one, the what else? A new movement that they use. I think
oyster quartz. They're all
exactly the bracelet and the oyster quartz, and the clasp in the back looks like a day date.
Super Jubilee bracelet. Yeah.
Yes. So it felt like a mashup, like a greatest hits album, rather than a proper watch on its own.
Yeah, like they say, like throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. It sounded like this.
Exactly.
The numbers of the Air King, the old Datejust fluted dial that they discontinued in the Datejust, and now they put it in the land dweller, which I find weird. And even it makes it very busy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then they made the Riho, the Riho. I don't know if I pronounce it right. Riho, I think. It's French, so without the T, I guess. Riho. So there you have a sloped one with numbers. I mean, with sticks or lines on it. That no Rolex has that. And I found this a bit like, whoa, wait, where's the Rolex? Rolex, right there. Anyway.
I don't think Rolex has a product design, I'm sure that they have a lead product designer for sure, but I mean, they don't have someone like with an artistic kind of like, they're very toolish watches.
I think it's the first version. And I think when this watch comes out with, I mean, like the numbers, what was the need to put the 6 and a 9 on it?
No need at all, because you don't have 12 or 3. So.
On the Air King, yeah, exactly. On the Air King, at least you don't have a date. On the Explorer, at least you don't have the date. So don't put these two numbers. I felt it could be just a bit more restrained, and it could be nicer. Solid color dial, maybe get rid of the numbers, or maybe even do a no date version. I mean, maybe this is all coming. Maybe this is just the first one. Who knows? But I found it a bit, from the design perspective, I have to see it. I still haven't seen it in person. But the movement is revolutionary. This is something really, really big. It's as big as a coaxial escapement from Omega. It's might be even bigger. The anti-magnetism is off the charts. It's basically a Milgauss as well, right? The movement is basically a new Milgauss movement because nothing can happen to it. It's just magnetic wise. And yeah, you're right. It's a bit like the greatest hits album. It's very funny. It's a very good analogy. I like that. It's like, just throw everything in it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. But overall, Rolex, they came up with some interesting releases. I don't think if everything works, you see the Tiger Eye dials on their own. They look impressive, but within the case and everything, I don't know if it works.
Yeah, we have to see it in person, I think.
Yeah, same thing with the Daytona, with the yellow gold and the
Tiffany
dial. Nice colors. I don't know if they work together.
So yeah, very good point. I've spoken to some of my friends who were invited for this whatever VVIP presentation or this that happened the last 2 weeks in the boutique here in Dubai, and they have been there, a couple of them, and only one of them said, "I want it." Everybody else was So the Tiffany and the yellow gold, it just doesn't seem to work so well. And when they talked to the Rolex salespeople, they said, strangely, the bookings for this watch are very, very small.
Okay.
So it looks really like they thought it would be the new super hit, right? Because Tiffany blue or whatever, light blue, whatever they call it, turquoise. So, and it's not. So apparently the bookings, at least yet.
Or maybe people have just given up, that they know that they will never be able to land the Rolex as well. And it seems like it's obviously because of the case material and the oyster flex is going to be, the price is at least going to be, I don't know, 200,000 dirhams? 100?
No, I don't know. Is it 200 or 150,000? I think something around this range. I mean, it's a 50,000, 60,000 euro watch, something like that. So yeah, in any case, you need to spend that money on a golden Rolex with a rubber band.
Something you actually want if you're going to spend that much money. But to me, the winner of Watches and Wonders, and I know no one will agree with me, but it's been Chopard.
No, there's a lot that you're not the only person who says that.
Really, I like the brand. I never owned anything from Chopard, but I love specifically their LUC line.
Right.
And some of the pieces they released this year, which were limited editions, there is one with the green dial enamel, and the level of finishing, it has Geneva seal as well. And I understand that the movements have been developed by Parmigiani when he was still working there. Gave him a blank check like 20 years ago, told him to develop all our movements for us. It's insane. If this watch had different logo on it, like Patek Philippe or Vacheron Constantin, I'm sure people will be flocking trying to get these watches.
Yeah. I mean, I have a high respect for Chopard, always had, but since I'm part in this German watch club, the Caliber Watch Club, and the founder of the watch club is Alexander. He's a guy who has even some piece uniques from Chopard. So wow. he's one of the biggest Chopard collectors. I mean, the biggest I know. Probably one of the biggest in the world of when it comes to Chopard. He has a lot of them, and they are amazing. I mean, I've been 2 years ago at the Chopard. Was it 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago at the Dubai Watch Week when Chopard was announcing the Strike One. This is the one where they have the gong built in sapphire. That is basically the sapphire crystal of the watch protrudes and then has the gong material. So it's basically one piece that is somehow made out of sapphire crystal. So that the cover and the gong mechanism is one piece of sapphire crystal. So that means it can use the entire crystal of the watch for resonance. And that is making a really nice sound. And it's super hard to make. Nobody else has done that, I think, so far.
I've never heard of a watch having sapphire as its gong. So
yeah,
that is quite.
And it's pretty amazing. So it uses all of this to amplify this gong, and it's really lovely. And it's these kind of things. I think Alexander is at the moment he's here in the UAE, he's staying here, and he brought that watch with him. So maybe if you can meet him, that would be nice.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I meet him anyways for dinner at one stage. I'll let you know. So. That is really.
But what about you? What is your favorite brand?
So I must say I had to. It hurt me a bit, but I had to agree with Martin.
What did you say?
JLC. I think JLC rocked it this year because the reversals, which again I don't have a reversal because I never felt it. I love them on paper. I love them when I see them. Put them on my wrist, and I just feel on my wrist it just doesn't work on my wrist. But the watches are beautiful. Last year, the chronograph, the rose gold chronograph, I thought was absolutely spectacular. This year, 2 watches that I like is the World Timer, the one that has the World Time on the back in the enamel.
Have you seen them in person? Because I have. That is in Dubai Mall.
No, I haven't seen it yet. And?
The World Timer, the text and the fonts are a bit too small for me, but what I loved is the full gold watch with the Milanese bracelet.
Yes,
this was so beautiful, and I tried it on. It looks really fits really well. But I would have hoped to get that the jump hour, the one Nonatiem.
This is my personal favorite as well.
It's so beautiful, but it's so beautiful only on one side.
Yeah.
The other side is boring. And I was telling them.
It's a normal one.
Yeah. No, but I mean, they could have done something else. Like it could have been much slimmer and just one side, just a regular reversal. Or they could have done something maybe skeletonized, or I know it would have been much more expensive, but perhaps I think the date window, even they put on the other side, it looks off. It looks too small and narrow, not like the German date windows when it's like, centered and properly done. This one, that looked a bit off to me.
Anyhow, this is also limited,
First
right? 150 pieces or something. No?
I think this one is
not limited.
It's not limited.
And then what I also loved is the new honey gold Odysseus from Erlang & Söhne.
This is limited. I think it was 10 pieces.
It's in any case. This is for getting something from Lange is always tough. But that I liked as well. And then there was I forgot what I had on my list. I did really like the new IWC. I also like the gold version of the Engineer. I think it's pretty cool.
but also beautiful. But the problem is, if you're going to spend that much money,
you have so many options.
Yes.
Especially if you consider pre-owned, that amount of money buys you so much, right?
Exactly.
You can buy a Royal Oak and something else, and yeah.
I was offered, as you've mentioned, that most Patek Philippe's are being sold under retail now. So one of the stores in the IFC was offering me a Patek Philippe, the annual calendar with a chronograph, the green dial, stainless steel.
Oh,
I can't remember, any. I
have a friend
who's
selling this if you want.
Yeah. So the retail, I think,
make a good price.
240,000.
Yeah.
They were selling it for 230, which is below retail. And then before even I tried to negotiate, they said we can sell it for 200. So you can tell what the sale of the market is, because it's stainless steel Patek. It looks, pretty nice as well. Very nice dial.
It's a bit of a chunkier watch, no?
Yes, but we can pull it off.
Yeah, of course. You have the wrist for it. But my point is, that's why I think for a lot of people, this is like a very sporty and chunky Patek, which is, especially on the bracelet. Did it come on the bracelet?
It comes on a bracelet, but it's not as big as the pilot watches, for example.
Yeah, that's
much more restrained.
But you can also wear it on a leather bracelet, and it looks really cool. But it's a beautiful watch. I like it. So yeah, the state of the market, right? That's another thing. And I've seen a lot of. I also one that I also is in my top 5 at least is the new resins. The resins with the integrated bracelet looks also very nice. It's beautiful. I think these resins watches they're really just very nice.
What did you think of Moser with the pop of color?
I think this has, for me, just I have out-Mosered myself. I don't know why.
I love Moser.
Me too. I'm a big fan of the brand, and I think I sold, my Heritage Dual Time. I sold it because I got another one that I really, really wanted, another watch. That's why I had to go, but I miss it, right? But I feel that there is the Streamliner is still a watch that I think is brilliant.
Yes, and it's available if you ask.
It's not so hard to get to a certain extent, and it's, of course, pre-owned. You can also get sometimes good deals. But I think, I don't know. I think it's this. Now they have done, done this collaboration with Studio Underdog, where they had a Studio Underdog, and a Moser watch, and you can only buy them together as a pair, and it was quite expensive. So, but it's a cool, funky design that they designed, similar looking watches, but very, very different price ranges. But now with these numbers, I think it's just they pulled a Nomos, right, with the colors, because Nomos has...
They started it first.
Look, nobody has a patent on colors. So I just felt like, okay, nice. And I think the dials are not painted, right? They're
stone dials.
Stone dials, yeah.
Which is very impressive, because some of them have minute repeaters in them.
Yeah. So I mean, look, from the manufacturing, I just saw the watches. I had no idea about that it's stone and everything else. I looked at them and thought, that's not for me. Because while I do like striking colors, and I think Moser always had good colors, intense colors, but not too off. You know what I mean? They were just, you could still wear it on a suit and not look weird. But these, you cannot. These are watches that you probably have to wear in a more leisure environment.
They're very funky. I do appreciate them for what they are. But I've been chatting a lot with ChatGPT, for the last few weeks.
If you have no friends.
Exactly. I've got many AI friends, not just ChatGPT. But I've been asking very interesting questions about, where should I take my collection towards? So this is my pieces. This is what I want to do in the future. And it gives me really nice answers.
Yes, I know. It's
but
scary sometimes.
Yes. And one of the nuggets of wisdom it gave me is that you should admire, but don't acquire. So this is what I now follow. I just look at things, I admire them for what they are, but I don't have to buy them.
Excellent point. And I think this is like, this is the podcast episode of wisdom. So a lot of times you hear people in discussions saying like, I hate this watch. Why? Because it's too expensive. And you think, okay, if you can't afford it, that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that you're poor or anything. It's if you don't have the budget for it, maybe you have other priorities in your life. Nobody needs to know. It doesn't matter. You can still say it's amazing.
Yes.
There's not, and you know how much pressure that takes off?
I know.
From the entire thing, that you don't even always think like, I want to own it. You can just say like, I like to look at it.
One good example is Patek Philippe release from Watches and Wonders, the split seconds with the enamel dial.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
I love this watch. Beautiful. I didn't know how much it is, but I didn't expect it to be any less than 500, 600,000 dirhams. Yeah. And I think it was like over $1 million. So, I can still admire it. I'm never going to buy it. Totally. It's fine.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, and I think this is also nice when you say like, well, it's lovely. It's not for me. It's not something I would buy, but I just admire it. So knowing that these dials are stone dials and what's behind the Mozart things, I must say, I like them. They're nice, but it's just not for me. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be. There's lots of watches from every brand that are not for me, right? So, but yeah, that's why sometimes it's there's so few watches that I really don't like, that are really just rubbing me the wrong way, where I say like, go away, right? With this, that's like, I need to wash my eyes. Now after looking at it, and that's what I feel sometimes. It's we live in crazy times. I have recently seen a friend brought a watch to a small watch meetup, and it was a thorn watch, like the thorn that's a watch that looked like the Kampfschwimmer version of the IWC that IWC made with collaboration with Porsche Design for the German Navy SEALs, basically. That's why they call it Kampfschwimmer. It's a very cool watch, titanium with a bezel and stuff, and it looks very historic. And this watch, titanium grade 2, lovely dial, lovely hands, lovely watch. Celita movement in it. So he gave it to me. I looked at it. So how much do you think this watch will cost? I said, about 800-ish euro, right? I gave it to my friend Saman. Saman, you looked at it and said like, yeah, that sounds about right. So 7 to 900, so this range. So it turns out that watch, it's not a Celita movement. It's a ETA 2824 clone, but it's a clone movement. Like Celita is also a clone, but anyway, it's a clone movement from China. This watch is a Chinese watch brand, and this watch cost $160. And we both had it in our hands, felt the quality of it, played with the crown and, set the time, and it wasn't wobbly or anything. And you think, wow, this kind of quality for $160 shipped to your door.
But we all know that the prices in Switzerland obviously are quite inflated, the salaries.
This is my other point. This watch, and I ordered one, so because I have to see this, I have to wear this for a while. And even if I give it away as a present to somebody,
I'm right here.
This is such a cool watch. And I thought, I can't believe it. I mean, it's full ceramic, titanium, all on the back, and everything it's just very, very nice. On the one hand, you have that the quality of cheap watches is going up. The quality of the bracelets that you can get from China, and most of the watch brands from Switzerland also source bracelets in China or have them produced there, is incredible. So cases, bracelets, everything else is made in China to a very, very high quality. Dials, all of this stuff. So it doesn't have to be China, but just outside Switzerland, let's say it this way. On the other hand, Swiss watches are getting so much more expensive.
And sometimes
especially branded.
Dropping some of the quality elements, or for example, trying to reduce the prices or cut costs in some areas, which is quite disheartening, honestly.
Yes, it's sometimes really sad if you see this, right? So, yeah, I think that's one of the things with the prices. If you see this, what do you think? Talking about prices,
yes,
Tag Heuer F1. Formula One, sorry.
No, well,
Watch.
my first ever mechanical watch was a Tag Heuer. I no longer have this piece. The only piece that I'm interested in from Tag Heuer is the Monaco. I really like it. I never ever pulled the trigger. I remember at the time when I first was asking about it, it was 14,000 dirhams. Now I think it's about 29,000 dirhams. I don't think I'll ever buy it because one of the things that I do, I would rather just save up to get a piece which is really high end rather than get the, the watches.
Well, they have a split second for 250,000, I think.
Well, I'll not pay that much for Tag Heuer either. I would rather get a Patek Philippe.
Whoa.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I'm not super impressed by Tag. I like the direction with the glass box pieces that they released, and I think they're doing really well for that level that they're working with. But I wasn't very impressed by the Kith. I think it's called Kith.
Yeah, but this is the new version, right? And it's like a bigger, 38 millimeters, so it's a bit easier to wear, I think, for a lot of people. And yeah, I think it's a bit nicer from a design perspective than the Kith ones. But what I like a lot is that every Formula One race, they will release a new version of it. So that's pretty cool. It's a good idea. But what I don't like about it, it's a quartz movement in it, solar graph movement, which is a great movement. It's from, again, La Jouperet. Okay. La Jouperet is a sister company of Frédéric Constant and also Citizen, because they're owned by the Citizen Group, La Jouperet. So obviously this is an eco drive movement. But if you want to make a Swiss-made watch, the movement has to be made in Switzerland. So La Jouperet takes the IP of the eco drive from the mothership, makes it in Switzerland, and then can sell a Swiss-made solar operated eco drive movement basically for the Cartiers and the Tag Heuers. So it's a cool thing. It's a great movement. One of the best. Citizen makes really, really amazing quartz movements. But, and I don't dislike quartz movement. I'm a fan. But the thing is that the price is $2,000, 7,400 dirhams for a plastic watch, or even if the ones with a metal bracelet or something. It's a fun watch. It's a watch that you could collect different things. But for $2,000, you're not collecting it. That's too much. I think it's just, it's just like, they made everything right. The size is right. The design is good. Everything is cool. And these entry-level Tag Heuers, to really fire up Tag Heuer as a cool brand, $2,000.
I think Tag Heuer needs a reset button. I think they need to go back to their 60s and 70s watches when it was just Heuer and the Otavia pieces and, the Carreras, and bring back the vintage pieces and remove all these smart watches and quartz watches.
Yeah, good. They always had quartz movement, especially in the Formula One range, right? They had always quartz movements in it, and that's not wrong. But I think just the price is again like it's just so close to be such a great watch to just pick up and enjoy.
They're bought by LVMH, so which means that also like they bought one of your favorite German brands, Rimowa, and Birkenstock,
yeah. Everything
went up.
Everything is now French.
All the prices went up as well, and without any difference in quality. Sometimes even with less quality.
True. I think with Tag, seeing that they have I don't know who that was of the Arnault family, one of the younger guys who was the CEO of Tag Heuer.
They all look very similar to me.
I know. It's just, you can just. I did the same with the son of Jean-Claude Biver for Biver branches, and I saw him and said, I spoke to you the other day, and he said, no, it wasn't me, it was my brother. And I was like, damn, sorry, he looks so similar. Yeah. But what I want to say, this guy was actually, he hired a lot of good people, like Carole Forestier-Carsapi, the movement maker from Cartier, is a lady who designs movements, and she made the movements she won GPHG awards for her movements and stuff. So she's really amazing. And we had a meeting with her a while ago in the Mandarin Oriental when they had the presidential suite, for the press and all of this stuff. It was really, really cool. And we were allowed to ask her, we talked to her, got a couple of questions in, and she said there was a lot coming for Tag Heuer, and not only will they have the new normal, like in-house 80 hours power reserve, 5-year warranty, 10 years service intervals. That's the new normal. That's just like, we have to do this. That's why she put the solar graph movement into Cartier and the solar graph movement into Tag Heuer. Because no normal quartz movement will have 10-year service interval.
Okay.
Because battery, right? With the solar power, you can do this. So the thinking is cool. And so it's like robust quality, super reliable, chronometer certified, all of this stuff, right? So I think they're going in the right direction. And she said chronographs, because Tag Heuer stands for chronographs, for racing. And we have Formula One sponsorship. So chronographs. Because I asked about the Aqua Racer and she said, well, it's not really that we are standing. It's a successful, sort of successful collection in our, for the brand, but it's not the core. The core is chronographs.
Yes. Monaco.
Nobody
Otavia,
thinks about
Carreras.
diver watch, Tag Heuer. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Submariner.
Even though they're good stuff, they're good. Aqua Racers are cool, but anyhow. Yeah, so I found it just a bit, just the price was a bit, man, 7,400 dirhams. It's not the watch you just pick up, right? It's still, you have to think, especially for a lot of people. For them, it could be their first Tag Heuer or their only luxury watch. And then it's just like, man,
Plastic
it would be nice. Yeah, especially for the plastic ones. It's just a bit too much. Yeah. So since you have the Jumbo now, which I still have to put on my wrist, I have to just try.
You have to try it.
What is next in AP? Did you already say that? What is next for AP for you?
So
I think you did.
Well, I was talking about Vacheron.
Exactly.
So to me, I think one of the benefits of being an established client with some of the brands here. Yeah. Established doesn't mean that I bought too many watches. It just means that, I visit them regularly and annoy the hell out of them.
Is the coffee better now at AP?
Much better.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was horrendous. We recently had this discussion, which watch boutique makes the best coffee? IWC won.
IWC, they've got amazing coffee.
Yeah.
They can put your picture on the coffee as well.
Oh,
yeah, she's right. Really nice.
So if you are in Dubai and you go to Dubai Mall,
go to IWC.
Go to the IWC, treat yourself to free coffee, and
put your picture on it. So again, some of the benefits that you can plan things ahead with these boutiques. And for example, I said with the Corne de Vache, I place a deposit, say, okay, the deposit is there. So can we plan ahead to pick up the watch at a certain time? And that is fine, before really increasing the prices, for example. So you put there a deposit of 30%, 40%, and then they can freeze the price for you for a few months. And then, before the regular price increases. Other than that, as well, surprisingly, I have a really good relationship with AP in Europe, as I said. And I think I don't want to just tell them, anything you can have, I can pick it up, just give me whatever you have. We're very specific and we're very realistic as well with our approach. So I say, this is a watch I really love and I would love to get it next. And doesn't matter how long it takes. Or for example, what other pieces that I like that if I buy now would get me that watch in the future. Like for example, I really love the double balance wheel, the AP. It's a very expensive watch, and even my profile there, it's not there yet to go and pick it up. So it's absolutely fine. I've got, plenty of watches to enjoy, but I know that the one that I really love and I have emotional connection with is the Star Wheel.
Right.
So this is my next AP, hopefully.
And the Star Wheel is not too complicated to get, or is it?
I think it is.
Is it?
It is not as complicated as, for example, the Jumbo. But I think what they like about me as well is that I've got a wide range of interests. So, most people don't like the code. For example, I like the new releases of the code, the stainless steel one, and I own one. Even though after I picked a Royal Oak, I went back and bought an offshore with a color that I really like. So it's not like once you pick the Royal Oak, you retreat and you no longer are interested in the brand. I still am trying to explore the brand, trying to, go a bit to the code, a bit to the Royal Oak, a bit with the complication. And it shows that, I'm really interested in the brand. Yeah. So hopefully Corne de Vache and then the Star Wheel, and then next year, maybe, hopefully, 222 in steel.
No.
maybe.
Okay, so you like it then?
I do like it, and I think it's gonna be significant watch, like historically.
Yeah, but I think what you said about AP is just like when you have a realistic approach about these, what you want, and also just don't buy things that you really don't want, even if it means you wait a bit longer. Now that you are an established customer, I think you can just, take it easier, right? Because you don't have to prove that you are, a good customer. You got nice pieces that you already, wanted. And I think that you take obviously AP would like you to be only an AP person and not just.
I'm gonna tell you something that's I don't know if you've read or heard about it, but have you heard about Henry's?
Henry's?
Yes. No. So apparently in the luxury market, there is a class of people called Henry's, which is something like potential high net worth individuals, but they're not really rich yet, something like that.
Right.
So that is us basically. So
not rich yet.
Yes.
that must
not
be
yet
rich.
Not rich yet. Yes.
I know why. Yes. Yeah.
So basically, it's individuals are very successful. They've got spending capacity and power, but of course we don't have if we stop working, for example, then our spending habits would change. Of course.
Of course. Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
But there are rich people who don't, even if they stop working, their still spending habits will be the same. So because they've got lots of sources of income. So anyway, which is something was confirmed to me, by the way, by one of the brands. I'll say indirectly when I was having a chat with them recently. They're saying, Mahmood, we follow everyone's careers. We follow everyone's stories, and we'd love to think that, we get not notified, but we check whether, you have achieved something at work, you're progressing with your career, and we love to be part of that story. So it's not, of course, they know their people. They know when they've made a good move, they are now in that position. So when I told you at the beginning that, I feel happy when, for example, that watch, that Royal Oak Jumbo was assigned to me, they assign it also to, I think, profiles that would fit there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's true. So it's like your brand extends to the people that wear your brand, right? So these are then your ambassadors to a certain extent, even though they have to pay for everything.
Plus spending history.
And of course you have to do the spending history. But then it's so the discussion is always there that I have with a friend of mine who says as well, look, he has a specific Patek that he wants, and he says, at the moment, you have to have a 10 million dirham profile to get that watch that he wants.
Which was that? Is that Aquanaut or Nautilus?
Some Nautilus.
Okay.
And he said, I'm not going to do this. That obviously he can't spend 10 million.
Well, 10 million just buy the watch from the grey market.
Exactly his point. Sometimes it's just like you could buy countless watches from the brand in order to get the spend history, in order to qualify to get that watch. Or you just buy it from the grey market and you have it. And you pay extra, but you pay a few hundred,
Not 10 million.
No. I know a lot of people have this barrier to say, like, I'm not buying over retail price. They're perfectly happy to buy under retail price in the grey market, but not above. Right. So, and it goes two ways, right? So, and I find the grey market has the benefit of giving us access to watches that we otherwise wouldn't get. If you have the money, you can buy it. Yes, it's a premium, but at least you can buy it, because in the shop you wouldn't buy it. You wouldn't be able to, because you have to have the spend history and all of the stuff. I bought one watch with a premium so far, right? And that was my Daytona. And that's still hurts a bit because it was, well, a lot over retail, even though I got a good price from a friend. It wasn't market price. I paid less than market price. So I could still sell it for more than I bought it for. But I still think that hurt buying a watch for that much money that is actually retail price a bit lower.
I think if you really like it, go for it.
Yeah, I already did. So I have it. So it means sometimes I feel like, does it nag me a bit that I have overpaid on this watch. But then on the other hand, I said like, okay, I wouldn't ever gotten a steel Daytona, from Rolex myself.
I told you I spent $250,000 with them here. I can't even put my name on a Batman or a...
Yeah, exactly. So there's no chance. There's no chance. It's zero chance. Then I think I wouldn't feel bad if I buy, for example, a watch for retail from a pre-owned dealer or from a friend, or if I buy it under retail, it's like a two-tone Daytona, right? Under retail from somebody, then it just doesn't make you feel as bad.
Yes.
Not that I feel like dirty. It's like, ooh, I bought it. I overpaid. I paid the premium. I'm part of the problem. It's like, but I enjoy the watch, and I think it's one of the watches. Most of the Rolexes have always the like AP. I think it's also the same thing. You don't fully get it until you had it in your hands. You felt the watch, you felt the quality, especially the bracelet and the case of the Royal Oak, right? And you put them on your wrist and see how just good it feels there and how good it looks if you look at your wrist and you feel like, ooh, that's so much nicer than I thought it would be. And it feels just nice and you just don't want to take it off.
And this is exactly what happened with my Jumbo. And thanks to you, I can tell that as well by the app, the wrist check app. So ever since I got this, I think I've wore this watch more than double than any other watch.
Yeah. It is, I think, and this is what I think where we all hopefully in our collection journey end up eventually, to know exactly that's me, that's the watch for me, that's really what I enjoy wearing. When you look at your wrist or you just go about your day, every time you check the time, you think, yeah, that's nice. That's the watch. It can be as well, of course, as the achievement, as you mentioned, that you're saying this is a symbol for yourself to say, well, this is what I achieved in my life, and it's your treat, and that's why I always feel like super cool. And that's what I said. I said this before. Sometimes a watch gives you superpower. It's like you're your own superhero, because you think like, this is my watch. I bought this watch. Right?
Have you seen these films where, I can't remember the film, but I think Alec Baldwin, where he says, look at this watch. This watch alone is worth more than your
Glenn Ross. That's the famous second prize set of steak knives.
Yeah, but
in third prize, you're fired.
Well, it's only a Rolex owner who would say something like that, I think.
Yeah.
This watch is worth more than your yearly salary.
Yeah. You know why I got it? Yeah, this is the famous motivational thing there. Alec Baldwin, Ed Harris. There's so many good actors in it. Anyway, it's just it's a very good movie. But I know this, and it's but I think this is the superpower. I mean, it's like, even if other people don't see it that way, or just don't know even what you're wearing, it's just for you, right? It's just like your own treat, and if it makes you happy wearing this watch, looking at your wrist and thinking, I did this, I was able to buy this, I have achieved this in my life, and I just treated myself with this, and it's just, I'm happy with this. It is, after all, a materialistic possession. It's just, but it still means a lot to us, and we are just humans, so we have these things. So I think that's a good way.
We're monkeys and we like shiny things.
Very good. I think on this bombshell, we can end this amazing episode. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll do that again.
Thank you for inviting me.
And now, after I switch off the recording, I will grab your Royal Oak and try it on.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.